Hello everyone, it is Caitlin B and welcome back to my channel. I have not done a sorority video in forever. So you guys have been absolutely blowing up my social media recently with questions about sorority life, being in the Greek life in general, and fraternities. All of these questions, and I felt like the easiest way for me to answer them is to just do a sorority Q&A. Also, sorry for the super boring background. This is just all I got to work with right now. I'm going back to my college apartment soon, but for the meantime, everything else is very messy. So I got this idea from Amy on Instagram. She commented on one of my pictures recently, so shout out to you, girl. She had very valid questions that I feel like a lot of you guys would want to know too, so that's why I decided to answer them in a video, as well as I took to Twitter and asked you guys to send in all of your questions that you want me to answer honestly and genuinely. So let's go ahead and get started because there's a lot. So I'm gonna start with Amy's questions just because she started this whole thing off. So she has a few, so let's get on into it. Her first question is, are there certain connections between two Greek houses, as in fraternities and sororities, like they work together for a lot of things? I would say yes and no. It depends on the school that you go to and just your chapter that you're in. Some sororities are really close to fraternities, like one sorority will always just kind of hang out with the same fraternity just because whoever you go out with first on your first night of college is typically who you become really close with because you all are in this together and in this new environment, and then when you guys have a social together, then it's very likely that you meet some of your best guy friends ever, like I did on my first night of college. And also your sorority may be paired up with a fraternity for a philanthropy event or just some kind of fundraiser, so you guys may spend a lot of time together like that. And I think it's good to hang out with a lot of different fraternities so that you're not always just in one spot and you can meet a lot more people that way. Her next question is, how do you run for a sororities president? That is a very great question, and when I was going through recruitment my freshman year, I was like dreaming of one day becoming president or having some kind of position in the house. It may be different depending on what chapter you're in and what school you go to, but basically for us is there's election season during November, and so that's when you have a couple of Monday night meetings dedicated to elections, and people will go up who are running for that certain position and answer a few questions, and also they may give a speech depending on what position they're running for, and you'll be able to learn about the positions ahead of time and read all of their duties and see if that's something that you want to apply for. Obviously, presidency is a huge deal. What happens every day of rush week? This totally depends on what university you're going to. I suggest going to your Greek life website for your school. I'm sure they will answer a bunch of questions that are just for your school because they're gonna be different. I know some schools, again, have it in the fall time, some of them have them in the springtime, and then some of them are like a few days, just depending on how many sororities and fraternities that you guys have. If you only have like a couple sororities, then it's not gonna take as long. But for us, we have a full week dedicated to rush week, and it's before school, so it's a week before school starts, so you have to come down early, and you have each day is dedicated to different things. And I believe we have like 24 26 different sororities now. It's going to take a while, so we have 2 days dedicated to open house round, Monday and Tuesday, and that's where you go into every single sorority very quickly, and you kind of have to make that first impression. So for me, that was the most stressful day going through because I had to narrow it down. Like I had to narrow down 7 or something on the first day, and I was like, I love all of them. So after open house round, we have Philanthropy Day, and that's when you get to learn about each sorority's philanthropy, what they're giving back to. The next day is Philanthropy Day, and that's when you get to learn about each sorority's charity of their choosing or organization that they give back to during events during the school year. So it's a really great way to see if you connect with one in particular. Like my sororities is domestic violence awareness, and so we donate to a local shelter for women and children who have been victims of domestic violence. The next day is my favorite day besides the last one, and that is house tour day, and that's where we get to show you guys around the house and give you a little tour of the place so you can see if you can, you know, picture yourself there, and it's just a really fun day. And then the last day is preference day, so you're gonna go up to, at our school you go up to 3 different houses. That's when you get to have like a ceremony, and it's just special, and you get some food, but it's great. And that's kind of the day where you're gonna really hopefully be like, wow, yes, this is the house I want to be in right after you leave, or like that's how I felt. I know not everyone feels that way and they're kind of conflicted, but for me it was just a set thing after I left that house, and I still had one more house to go to after that, but I was just like in love with my sorority. So that's great. And then the day after is bid day. So that's a quick breakdown, I guess, of the days. Her last question is, do organizations really have rivalries like they do in the show Greek, which I love that show, by the way. I would say for the most part, no. They're not like they are in the movies at all. It can't be all rainbows and smiles in the movies because that wouldn't be entertaining. So I would say no, it's not like that at all. I'm gonna speak from my school though, and that's just how we are. I feel like a lot of the sororities and fraternities get along really well. I feel like the fraternity guys are more competitive with each other. So now I'm going to go to Twitter and see all of your guys' tweets to me about this. The first question is from Logan, and she asks, what's your favorite thing about being in a sorority, and what sorority are you in? I am in Alpha Chi Omega, which is A Chi O. What it do, baby boo? It's really hard to pinpoint just one thing. I guess that's my favorite, but I would just say, honestly, the lifelong friends, and that there's always someone to do something with. I've become friends with so many girls, and I can honestly say, like, I can see them in my wedding, and at least going to my wedding, and that I just know are gonna stick around for a long time. What made you choose your sorority, and was it hard to say no to other ones that you could have fit into? That is a very great question, and I get asked this a lot. I loved, like I said earlier in a previous question, I loved so many sororities at first, and even going through the week, I was like, going back and forth, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a hard decision. And at the end of the day, when I had to narrow them down, it took me a while. It wasn't just like a set thing, but I always put Alpha Chi Omega at the top of my list because that was like the for sure one, and then the rest I was like debating on, you know what I mean? So I kind of had to think about that, and I was like, yes, I love all these other ones as well, and I can see myself in them, and I had great conversations with these girls. At the same time, this was always a house that I kept putting on first. It was just like a set deal, and so I kind of had to think to myself, I was like, why do I keep doing that? And you have to just ask yourself, and don't be afraid to, you know, put a sorority on the top of your list that someone else, like your best friend, may not be. At the end of the day, you're still gonna be friends with your friend, even if you guys are in other sororities. What made me choose my sorority is I just, off the bat, I've had just great conversations with the girls, and I could tell it was genuine. It wasn't just like, you know, when you can tell if someone's reading off like a teleprompter, for example. It's just very it's kind of flat, like a flat delivery. If I was like talking to you guys and I was like, hi, my name is Caitlin, and I want to know what you guys like to do for summer, comment down below. Like, you know what I mean? It's like people kind of act a little bit awkward, and at some houses it was like that a little bit. It was a little bit robotic. And I felt like at Alpha Chi Omega, the girls were all very different that I talked to, but they were all very genuine and funny, and I just like found myself laughing there. I could take off my shoes, and I just felt more relaxed, I guess. So I think that's what made me choose it. I just felt like a good connection. I was like, these are my people. How hard is it to afford sorority life, and what are the expenses like? And this is a question that I can't really answer because it's going to vary completely depending on, first of all, what college that you go to. If you go to a big university, small university, how big is Greek life there? If you're going down south, it's gonna be definitely way more expensive. That's just how it is. It's very big down there. If you go to a smaller university, it's probably going to be a lot cheaper, and especially if you don't have a house on campus, some colleges don't have houses, then that's gonna cut a lot of the expenses out. So I suggest just going to your university or your college's website and looking up Greek life, and then kind of figuring it out there, because usually they will kind of list it out a little bit for you. And also each sorority is going to differ. So each sorority has a different, you know, amount of expenses. So definitely check that out. Are people really superficial in a sorority, or is it truly a sisterhood? I'm gonna answer honestly from my personal experiences, and it's truly, honestly, a sisterhood. And it's really hard to explain how you can just like meet these girls and then gain such amazing lifelong friendships. It's crazy, and it's very hard to explain until you kind of go through the process. But I'm gonna say it's truly a sisterhood, but I can only speak from my own experiences. Is it easy to not get accepted into a sorority, and is rejection common? This is gonna depend on what school you go to, because for us, I think the numbers keep getting bigger and bigger every year. More and more girls are going through recruitment process, but you have to realize that people are going to drop throughout the week. It's gonna get smaller and smaller just because because some people realize it's not for them, and that's totally fine. But I recommend that everyone who goes to a school that has Greek life just go through it, because you can drop it. You don't, if you're like, I don't like this at all, then that's totally fine, but you tried something new and maybe you met some friends just going through the process like I did. I've heard that if you're going to a school down south where sorority life is very competitive, there's so many girls going through and there's only so many houses, and they only have a certain amount of number that they can fill in that pledge class. So, you know, if more girls are going through, then it's gonna be harder to maybe get into a house. But my recommendation is just to be yourself, be natural, be genuine, be engaging, because I can't tell you how many times that I have recruited someone who is just like giving me one-word answers, just like a blank face, or I've had some people just kind of like look around because they've had, you can tell they've had their mindset on a different sorority, and I don't suggest that. Sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but don't go into it only wanting one sorority because your friend is in it. That's totally fine if you know what one you want to be in, but just don't have a bad attitude, because heaven forbid if you don't get in that sorority, then no one else may have chosen you to come back, and then you won't be in any house. So I don't know, just go into it open-minded and engaged, be asking questions. How can you be sure it's for you? I think you just have to go through the process, see if you like it, see if it's something that you want to be a part of, and that's truly how you're gonna know. Is it okay for sophomores to rush? Yes, you can. At least at my school you can rush if you're a sophomore. Sarah Bell 93 wants to know, why are you a peasant? It's just in my blood. What do you look forward to most each year in your sorority and Greek life? Hands down, I look forward to recruitment week and work week, and I know that sounds really weird because they're really long, stressful days and you're gonna be tired, but it's truly the time when you bond so much with the girls and you get to know each other so much more. You're spending so much time together, you're all like in your sweats all day, and you don't really leave the house. Marissa Lace wants to know, why do you put up with Sarah? I really don't put up with her. That's why I moved back, so good luck with her. Is hazing something that actually happens or only in the movies? For sororities, it's not ever an issue. Where I go to school, hazing is just not a thing. That's not something that happens. I have heard other sororities that have hazed at other schools. But if you're going into a sorority, I wouldn't say worry about it, honestly. But I think it's more common with the guys, fraternity guys. They think it's cool. It's not. How do you balance school, work, and your sorority? It's very difficult. It's kind of like that triangle, that sleep, school, like your grades, and social life. You kind of only have to pick two. I try to balance it as best as I can, and you just have to make time for the things you want. Is it hard to be accepted into a sorority or chapter if you don't know any alumni? No, it's not at all. I didn't have any letters of recommendation or anything going in, and I came in with a completely open mind, and it worked out great. As long as you're engaging and you're having great conversations and you genuinely want to be there, then you shouldn't really have anything to worry about. And finally, Christy wants to know, will you be my big? Obviously. Is that even a question? Strawberry? Okay, so those are all the questions I'm going to answer today. Thank you guys so much for submitting your questions, and I think this was a great and helpful video, so please give it a big thumbs up if it helped you out a lot, or if you're still watching, that would really help me. If you have any other questions, or if you have any advice for girls going through, please leave it in the comments below so they can check it out. Follow me on all my social media sites, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Snapchat, all that fun stuff will be linked down in the description box below, so go check it out. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!